Okay, it's Tech Tip time once again. Today I'm talking about exterior trim materials. Which ones you can polish, which ones you can't, and what you do with them. So, we've got a variety on this vehicle. This is Mum's Ford Territory. Now this is a rough material trim, probably ABS or some other material. Now, anything that feels rough or looks or feels textured, you generally cannot polish it. The polish will not do anything for it. Same goes with this material, virtually the same thing. The only things you can do with these particular surfaces is deep clean them, apply a solvent to them to deep clean them, apply a dye like Solution Finish or Blackwell, apply a silica or ceramic coating over them, or apply a dressing to them. Now, or a trim and tyre coating, like for example the Gtechniq T1 that I've been testing lately, which isn't sensational, but it's quite decent. So these ones are non-polishable, cannot use them, cannot work on them with a polish. As you can see here, there's some whitening showing up here. What happens here with some of this material is that the wrong kind of car wash soaps that are caustic, corrosive to some degree, and many of them are corrosive, actually causes this whitening along with maybe UV damage as well. This can be deep cleaned with a magical razor and a deep cleaning solvent or alcohol. Then you can apply a coating over it or a dye over it to improve it. These wiper blade arms are quite common. This material is quite common. I'm not sure if it's paint or if it's just a coloured paint over the top, or these are just a material that is has a dye in it and it makes it that colour. But these can definitely be hand or machine polished with a solvent-based polish mixed with a water-based one as well, and even adding a silica SiO2 or SiO4 cream polish and sealant will give them this effect, this reflective rich black finish. They will fade eventually, but they will probably last a good year or so, and they can be easily touched up when the need arises. And that's the same thing as these. These here, just like some of the other Falcons, and the Falcon and Territories have pretty much got the same trim. These are more orange peely or groovy. As you can see, if I zoom right in, you can see how they've got these little grooves. So these can be polished. Same thing as the wiper arms. You can polish those with a silica cream or a solvent-based and water-based polishes mixed together, but only a fine grade polish, not a compound, a cutting compound or something that's fairly aggressive. You will dull them off too much if you do that. So you can do that. These B-pillars are a piano black material. They have a very thin layer of material on them and they are easily correctable, but they will scratch extremely easily. These door handles cannot be machine polished. Treat them like you would the side mirror backing and also this cowling material as well. Same thing. And same for these as well. All textured rough material. Can't use them. Can't work on them, sorry. Again, dressing, dye, coating, that's all. And same for this. However, on my car, which was cleaned up yesterday, we have a variety of materials. And we have a vast variety on this car. So we have the same kind of wiper arms. As you can see, they're glossy. A textured, repainted, very gritty material. It was a smooth black originally, but it's been repainted, but it's got a lot of dust nibs in it, and it's very rough and poorly sprayed. This originally was a injected resin dull brown piece of trim. As you can see on the other side, it's quite dull. This can be polished by hand or machine, most likely machine. By hand, sorry. and you can do the same thing. Solvent-based polish, water-based polish, silica cream. Then you can apply a coating over those. Side mirror backings, same as the Territory, but this trim here we have these vinyl-like materials that have a carbon black in them. Now this carbon black will eventually, with UV exposure over time, over a long period of time, actually begin to leach out of the material, and it will become a very, very dull grey. Same with these as well. And with this car, no matter what I put on it, except for a true coating, these will dull off every single time I wash the car with water and soap. They will go dull. Anytime they have water on them, any moisture, they will go dull. I've found nothing yet that actually fixes these permanently. So that is a problem. So these ones can't be polished, but they can be coated with a dressing, a dye, or a dressing dye or a coating, but again, the lifespan will be minimal. These are a urethane material. These have been machine polished with a rotary and hand polished, and then they've actually had the G-Technique trim dye, trim coating applied to them, which is sitting in here in my car, which I'm currently testing, which is a bit like half tire shine, half coating. Does darken them nicely, and will work on interior door panels as well, but it's a bit too shiny. But I like what it's done to give it a nice gloss finish, so you can do that. But these can be machine polished, no problem. Straight polish, silica cream, combination of both, doesn't matter. Okay, so there's those ones. Then we've got these, which is a single stage coloured plastic, which is now faded off a bit, which I've got a machine polish back up and then recoat. These can be easily polished. This trim material here, which is somewhat textured, doesn't respond well to polishes normally, but if you have a polish that's got a lot of oil in it, solvent based, there's a lot of oil, it will darken it up real nice. Or use a silica cream polish, it will come up really well. You can do those. What else have we got on the back here? We have got a non-painted, again probably an ABS or a jet injected resin material. The underside here, as you may be able to see, is very dusty. How dull that is, it's like a brown. That's what this was originally, and from machine polishing and hand polishing it and applying a number of coatings over it, it's actually become semi-gloss. But it's never going to be black, but it is definitely going to stay a nice semi-gloss black, semi-gloss brown. So these can be polished. You might not find any materials like this on a car anywhere else, but these can be polished. Main thing to focus on. Textured, no. Smooth, yes. Now we've got these. These are again a very flexible, rubbery, vinyl-y sort of a material. Probably a petroleum-based material. I'm not sure what that is on the window, but I'll sort it out either way. Got some crap on the window. So again, these are window seals, which you can see. They're very smooth. These were machined with a rotary years ago with glare polish to make them dark. They've gone off a bit, but they've lasted a long time. So these are smooth. These are almost similar to these here, but not quite. Very close, but they're very flexible, very soft. So they're quite flexible. These should be treated with, again, a solvent-based polish and a silica cream, or a dressing or a dye, or a coating, and they will come up nicely. But you cannot. The only thing you can polish these with is not an abrasive, but it's actually just a silica cream, like the glare polish. It's an old school stuff by today's standards, but it does work. By using the machine, you are going to be darkening these up. Now, I don't recommend doing this very often, and most likely you're going to be using a dye or a ceramic coating light, things like that on there, or our coating, and you can apply a coating over that, will darken it up nice. but that's what you can do with those. Now, that's probably all the materials I've got here at the moment, but basically, yes, anything smooth, consider it polishable. And the one thing you should always remember and focus on when you're washing a vehicle as well is get in here. Get the high pressure gun and the brush and whatever else you can get in there, steam, whatever, and get all this stuff out of here. A lot of cars tend to have a lot of browning, like grime and brown residue sort of, and dirt stuck in these very little gaps between literally where the trim finishes and the window starts. If you don't get that clean when you wash it and decontaminate it, it will look like shit after you've polished it, and it'll not make you look good to a paying customer. These little things like cleaning up all this stuff in here and getting in behind there and blasting it with a high pressure hose and getting a very thin brush in there or a swab and pushing all that out, or a steamer, will make a hell of a lot of difference to the overall finish. So those are the kind of things to focus on. But trim generally is injected resin, polyurethane, thermoplastic polymer material. There are a variety of materials: ABS, acrylic butane styrene. That's the main thing ABS is acrylic butane styrene chemical combination. But pretty much you can just consider, everything smooth, polishable, everything not smooth, no. Dye, dressing, coating only for those ones. So if I was doing this territory, I would definitely be applying a coating or a dye, like solution finish, to these multiple times so that it lasts, and then apply a coating over that once that's set and cured. If you want these, same thing. These, you can machine polish the swirls out of them, no problem. These, machine polish, rotary, small pad, low machine speed, plenty of polish on the surface, but not too much to have the residue get up in here and build up and dry. The reason these still look good after many, many years, this is a 15-year-old car, and looks so good many years after, is the fact that I polished them so many years ago by machine and applied the silica cream to them many times, and they're still holding up today. So that's a bit of information about exterior trim materials and what you can and can't do with each of them. Only a silica coating is going to give you a darkening effect on these rough materials. Most of the ceramic ones, typical ceramic ones like Opticoat, G-Technique, Crystal Serum Light, Crystal Serum Ultra, will not give you the darkening effect that a silica one does, like G-Technique C1 or any other silica-based one. Whether they all contain silica is another story, but they mostly contain resins. But any other than that basically says silica is going to give you a darkening effect, whereas the ceramic one is not. There's a lot of buzzwords in the industry with silica, ceramic and all this crap, but basically there's two types. Ones that give you a lot of gloss, which tend to be the ones called silica and may contain titanium as well. Then there's the ones that don't give you the same gloss, which are just basically ceramic and are more of a standard style of coating. The silica ones came out years ago, like G-Technique C1, which is the original coating they did. That's got a lot of silica, that's got supposedly silica in there, but whatever happens, it does darken the finish nicely. So look at the exterior trim on every vehicle that you work on, feel it, see what the colour is. If it's a dull brown and it's rough, don't even bother getting the polish out. No point. If it's smooth and dark, or smooth and a brown colour, even if it's like these are originally, which is a real dull brown finish, you'd be surprised how good you can make these. But the main thing to understand, the last thing to understand, with these materials like this is they can be polished, but if you use a water-based one, it's not going to, on its own, it's not going to be able to sustain the build-up of black residue coming off of this, which is the carbon black impregnated in this rubber, in this thermoset plastic, or your polymers. And the pad will turn black and it will just dull it off. You need a solvent-based one to break down all this black colouring that's coming off from the material that you're removing onto the pad. As soon as you are polishing these materials with a machine or by hand, and you're using any foam pad or whatever, any foam pad, and it goes black, it will then, from that area that you've touched, once that pad goes black, unless you change it to a clean section of pad and add polish again, it will dull it off. Whereas a solvent-based one will be able to break down that black colouring chemically, prevent the pad from going black and then dulling the surface off. It will stay black and nice, but you need a water-based one as well, add water-based ones in there as well to get the maximum gloss out of it. So a combination of the two. Not something we're probably going to do very often, but I thought you should know this sort of information.